Look, if you're a millennial, a Generation Z, or a doomer, you are bound to be a financial failure. And it's not your fault. You were raised and conditioned to be obedient from the moment you were a child and entered into the education system. The public education system was started by a man named Horace Mann, and his #1 goal was to create the best factory workers. And in order to do that, he needed to raise someone from childhood and make them disciplined until adulthood, because any normal person during the Industrial Revolution did not want to sit into a factory for 12 hours straight, waking up before the sun, sitting in a room with no sunlight until sundown, and getting out and going home with no sunlight. That was a miserable life. So the only way to condition people was to realize, you know what? Got to get them from their young, ripe child age, condition them obedient. You know, when you go to school, if you do anything that's outside of the box, anything that's not in the rules, you get hit, you get whipped. At least that's how it was back in the day. The objective of the education system is to teach you how to be obedient. If you break the rules, you get detention, you get suspended, and worst of all, if you fail, that's bad. When you get an F on your exam, that's looked at as very bad. But if you ask any successful entrepreneur, if you ask Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, if he was still alive, if you asked any athlete, Michael Jordan, they'll all tell you that failure was their best friend. You know, Michael Jordan didn't make the basketball team in high school. That failure pushed him to learn, how can I be better and improve? You know, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, they had trouble in the beginning with their business.
Most people never pick up the phone and call. Most people never ask. And that's what separates sometimes the people that do things from the people that just dream about them.
And if they just quit at their first failure.
And you've got to be willing to fail. You've got to be willing to crash and burn. You know, with people on the phone, with starting a company, with whatever. If you're afraid of failing, you won't get very far.
You wouldn't be watching this on your iPhone. You wouldn't be on a computer using Microsoft software. Maybe things would be different. Who knows how the world would be? But the point is, education system teaches you one thing: follow the rules to the T. And that's exactly what a factory worker needs to be. They don't want factory workers thinking how to be free. They don't want a factory worker thinking outside the box. They need factory drone workers just pushing, doing the muscle work for them. You know, it's not only that. Getting a job now, let's say you still graduate college, it's so much more competitive, and it's just getting more and more competitive. As the years go by, you need a higher GPA. People are getting smarter, and kids in school are taking Adderall, Ritalin to focus on their exams, pulling all-nighters, drinking coffee, sacrificing their health. For what? A potential job. And even then, the employer will tell you, you have your degree? Cool. We also need 2 to 5 years of experience in our field. Like what? Now you have to go work an internship somewhere, and then you can hope to get a job after that.
It's here on your resume that you spent the last 15 years as a sales rep for Dow Chemical.
That's right.
You know, we live together, right?
Yes.
And I've never seen you go to work, ever.
Okay.
So why is this on your resume?
So realistically, those in college, you have to be in college, getting your degree, and work an internship job, getting experience, and have the highest GPA. And it doesn't stop there, because the cost of living is just going up. The cost of schooling, education is just going up. And then you look at minimum wage, it's barely moving up like this, but we look at the education tuition costs, it's just going up like a high slope. They just keep pumping up the price, and no one's stopping anybody from doing that. But at the same time, you want the nice things in your life. Let's say you jump through all those hoops, you made it through everything, you have a job right after college, you earned it. So now what are you gonna do? You're gonna go out and have nice steak dinners with your friends. You're gonna buy that new car because you can afford it now. You're gonna make those monthly payments. You're gonna move out into a nicer place, start spending more money on things you don't need. Why? Because you gotta keep up with your buddy over there that also graduated. Oh, you're a doctor now? Go buy that new Mercedes. You're a lawyer, you're an accountant, you're an engineer. Go treat yourself to a nice car. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what John's doing over there. My friend John bought a brand new BMW. So I have to buy a BMW, I guess, right? And that is what first sets you in this trap. Because let's just create a hypothetical example here, okay? Someone makes, on average, a college graduate will make $50,000 a year. Now let's say, right when you make $50,000 a year, you don't just get all that money. You have to pay right away Uncle Sam. You need to pay up your IRS tax. And let's just say, for this example, it's $14,000. Obviously, it's going to be different based on where you live. So you're left with $36,000 a year. That's $3,000 a month. Now let's take $1,500 because you have to live. You need rent, right? You're going to pay rent. Let's include your gas, electricity, all that maintenance, okay, your laundry. Throw it in there. $1,500, half of your paycheck for the month. Now you need another $500 to drive a car, pay gas, do tire changes, oil changes, car payment because you had to get that BMW or Mercedes. That's another $500 there. We're down to $2,500, or we're down to $2,000 now, okay? So we have $1,000 left. Now let's say we spend $300 a month on subscriptions to cable, internet, probably not cable, right? Most of you just use the internet now. Netflix, all these random miscellaneous recurring fees every month, $300. So now we're left with $700. And then let's put another $300 for health insurance, because you have to have health insurance. You're an adult now. Everyone has to get health insurance. A gym membership, we have $400 left. So you make $3,000, you're only left with $400. Well, we forgot to eat. So that's another $400 for groceries. That leaves you at zero. You spend $400 a month on groceries and maybe 1 or 2 times you eat out. You're still at zero. You're working every single month and progressing nowhere financially. And to top it off, especially if you're a millennial, you have debt. Did you forget about your student loan? That's another $400 a month. So what can we equate that to? That's $400 of negative cash flow every single month. So what do? You go knocking at the bank, telling them, hey, I have a bad financial situation. I need some money. And the bank will start loaning you money. You start getting into credit card debt. Now you owe not only your $400 every month, plus interest on top of that. And you start digging into a hole. And this is what we call the rat race, corporate slavery. This is where you're tied to your job, wherever you work, okay? And you have to show up to work and get that paycheck just to make ends meet temporarily. But you're going into a hole further and further. And this hole isn't any fun. We haven't even calculated fun, entertainment, going out, none of that. So if you throw that all on top, it's an even bigger trap. And guess what? Most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, okay? Most full-time working Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, meaning they're at zero every month. There's no positive cash flow. And most millennials are in debt. And nobody warns you about this. Most of you just grow up living your life with no responsibilities. You go to college because you're supposed to. You get the degree because you're supposed to. And then you graduate and you're in this trap. Here's what you should do. If you're still in college or you're planning on going to college, you need to calculate how much your degree is actually going to cost you and what your average starting salary is going to be. And you need to write it down, map it out. Is this worth my time? Am I going to give up 4 years of my life to get this degree to make this much money? And then go into school. People who are going into school aimlessly, just getting any degree and wasting time and accumulating debt is extremely financially dumb. It's not worth it. I wish every college told you from the beginning, this is exactly the total cost of the degree, this is exactly what you can expect to make. But you're not warned about that. No one tells you to think about that. So if you're in college and you're going to college, do that. If you're already working at a 9 to 5, you're already a corporate slave, and you have this negative cash flow every month, get rid of it. That's the most important thing. You need to be positive. I don't care what you have to do, you need to make that number positive. If you have to live below your means, live below your means. Just because the Joneses, your friends, you don't have to keep up with them. You can live at your own pace and know that temporarily you might not be living nice, but in the long run, you will. Once you make that positive cash flow, I want you to watch this video next. This video will show you the next steps you need to take in order to get out of that rat race. Watch it right here. Anyway, thanks for watching, you guys. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. I'll respond to all of you. See ya.